Hello again, and thank you for joining me on this episode of In the Trenches. I cannot wait to share with you who our guest is tonight. His work has been viewed by billions, especially in country music. Music videos for artists such as Morgan Wallen, Hardy, Florida Georgia Line, Thomas Rhett, Mackenzie Porter, even Brothers Osborne. So without any further ado, my good friend, Justin Clough. How are you, buddy?
I'm good.
Thanks for coming out here.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. I feel like we've been having conversations like this for
Break out
6-7
the
years
Aussie
now.
eyeballs. You know, I asked Troy because I was like, hey, I think I might pull up a cooler and have Aussie eyeballs there. But then I was like, but then we're gonna be like slobbering all over the microphones anyway. But thank you for coming out, man. I appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, congrats on getting this thing launched too. I know you've kind of dabbled and talked about it for a really long time.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass, man.
Yeah.
But it's cool that it's done.
Yeah.
The main thing for me is, like I was saying earlier in one of these episodes, was like just probably for the same reason you and I met and would hit each other up. Hey, we'll go get an Aussie eyeball. Yeah, we knew what that meant. We were just going to go bullshit, talk shop for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then didn't we like leave many times and like go to your apartment and like watch like ASAP Rocky videos and shit? Yeah. That's what I love about you, dude. I mean, like it was. I've been waiting to get you on here because of especially in Nashville. There is no other director, and I've said this to you, that I feel connected to in the sense of I feel like your journey to here, even though there's differences, the passion and the obsession for the craft, the studying of it. Those are things that you just don't phone in that I know about you that I did. Yeah. For decades, maybe a decade and a half, through the 90s and the 2000s, if there was a video on the screen, I'd be like, Liz Freelander, I can tell you who the DP was because I studied this shit. I studied it.
Yeah.
My dad would walk in and be like, what are you watching? I remember Metallica, Until It Sleeps, Garbage, Stupid Girl. Both Sam Bayer, by the way. Would be like, what are you watching? Haven't you seen this 100 times? Like, no, I've seen it 1,000 times, and I'm gonna watch it more. Anyway, thank you for coming out, and I
of course,
thank you.
Yeah.
So so many people I bet want to know, where did all this start for you? Yeah, I'd like to know.
Yeah, it's well, I grew up in Wisconsin. Very removed from the entertainment industry. My dad worked at a printing factory, and my mom was a occupational therapist.
Really?
An occupational therapist. So for me, it was kind of, it sort of started from watching movies.
What movies?
But outside of movies, I think that I just enjoyed consuming visual content in general. I don't think back then we called it visual content, but anything visual for me really started, like I'm not great at like reading and remembering and certain things like that just never struck a chord for me, and I think that visually as a kid, it was just easy for me to.
I was just gonna easier for you.
It would,
me too.
See something, I would remember it. I could learn things visually very easily, and I think that probably naturally led me to film. But there were a few movies that I'd seen. Saving Private Ryan actually was one of them. Friday Night Lights, the Peter Berg version. Was one of them, which actually that movie I would probably say kind of inspired me to kickstart my career.
What about it? Did that?
I played sports growing up, and when I really knew I wanted to get into film, or had decided that I wanted to get into film, you're 15 years old, there's not a lot to film, right? Like you and your friends, but football was like, it gave me something to film, right? There was like high energy, there was like its impact, and it was just very easy for me to, it was an event, right? And I had an opportunity to film that event and piece it together in ways that were, I think that Friday Night Lights very much inspired the way I would piece those things together. So I think
it wasn't just visual content. Were you telling little bits of emotional stories even back then?
Yeah, funny enough, back then, actually, what I started doing was like, because I didn't know or understand. I was, again, being super young, I didn't know or
I want to hear the stupid shit.
Anything about sound design. So I was ripping trailers off of the internet, and I ripped the trailer for the movie 300 at the time. It was like a popular movie. I ripped that trailer off the internet, and I just taken the footage and just cut it straight up over the top of that audio bed. And like I put it out on YouTube.
Yeah.
And that was back when YouTube was like really the only way to consume things.
Okay.
Facebook actually was around too.
So MTV wasn't really throwing out videos, or
it was kind of in that weird, like MTV had moved into like Jersey Shore
all
and
that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't
So
even know where they are.
You couldn't
now,
count on it. Like me, I would watch MTV at a certain times of the day, mainly evening, knowing I would count on watching like the top 10 raddest videos.
Yeah, see, and I think I kind of just missed that.
Just missed that window.
Yeah. Because in high school, when was that for you? Was that?
Well,
was that
mid
like high school
90s,
probably?
mid 90s, yeah. I graduated high school. Oh my god, I graduated high school in 93, 94, somewhere in there. So yeah.
Yeah, that was like the peak, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So what made you move to Nashville? Was it something that?
So
where did how did you get here?
Yeah. So I mean, long story short, I was doing that. It was going well. Our football team ended up going to state that season, and I had collected all this footage. And I was working at a sub shop at the time, and I took the money that I made from the sub shop. I was like, I'm gonna print DVDs. So I printed off DVDs, and this was like for our high school it was a pretty historic run, obviously, to make it to state. And we actually ended up playing our division rival in the state championship game, D1, and took all that footage, collected it, built out a DVD and with menus and all the interactive stuff that DVDs had back in the day, right?
Yeah.
And I printed just on my parents' personal computer. I printed off like 200 or 300 copies of it. And I had insert slips made and printed, and then I bought just like wholesale little DVD slips, and I had taken them into the athletic office, and I had the athletic office make an announcement that they're available for sale for like $30 a piece.
Nice.
Which $30 a piece in 2010, like 2009, I'm like, that's, so and they sold, like people were buying 3, 4, 5
So is this the hustler in you, or is this the I will stop at nothing to be creative and get what I want?
Maybe a combination.
Okay. Because you kind of need both to get to where you are now.
Yeah. So. To me, it was just...
Gotta be a crook.
Yeah, back then there wasn't like... there wasn't all the like hustle culture and... Like that didn't really exist in 2008, 2009, 2010. You either did shit or you didn't do shit back then. You didn't get on Instagram and scroll and listen to David. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I think back then to me it was like I have the footage, I have the know-how. I'm just gonna. I didn't think about it. It wasn't like an active thought of like, oh, I'm gonna go make money. It just kind of. I was like, I have this, and it'd be fun to make a 50-minute long edit because I have all the footage.
But you did everything, right?
I did everything. Yeah,
you did everything.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Wonderful.
But yeah, and I was leaving. I ended up, I was selling these things, and I was doing them only in cash, and I had like C's and D's in a lot of my classes, and then at the end of the school day, I was like walking into the athletic office, and they were handing me an envelope with like $2,000-$3,000 worth of cash, and I'd kind of realized at that point I was like, okay, I can, like this is a viable future for me. There's something here, and then that ended up I met a good buddy, Chase Lauer.
Sure.
Just through the grapevine.
I had him on the podcast.
Yeah, great guy. He's responsible for a large portion of my career.
He brought you here, right? Or he influenced you, or?
Yeah. So I had, after I graduated high school, I had reached out to a buddy in Madison, Nick Lubke. I don't know. Have you met Nick? Mm-mm. I reached out to Nick, and he was doing music, and I was like, hey man, I want to shoot a music video for you. I'm down in Milwaukee. I drove up to Madison. We shot a video, and that video went viral on all the like Good Music All Day and all those like frat blogs. Mm-hmm. And Chase had seen that, so Chase then called me, and he didn't have any idea I was like 18 at the time. He just thought I was a video guy, and I think I charged him
what he needed, and that's what Chase's strength is. He sees into things very well.
Well, and he's very good at spotting talent,
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
But yeah, I think I charged him $750 for 3 videos. at the time, which is like, you know, like if anybody's charging that, like, don't get me wrong, it's still good money, but
yeah, no,
as your career grows, you realize it's, you know, it's not viable. You know?
Absolutely.
But, yeah, so we went down. I drove down to St. Louis, whatever, met him. We did some projects. They went great, and moved to LA, and he moved to Nashville, and just naturally over the course of a couple years, and me kind of just despising LA, not because I didn't work, but because I just didn't feel at home.
Yeah, you're right here with that.
I ended up in Nashville, and
that's great.
It's the best thing that's ever happened to me.
And then you were signed to Taillight, and that's something that I relate to very well, because you know, there's not many, in my opinion, we live in more of in our industry, in music videos, or in music, there's a lot of self-companied directors. You know, I'm one of them.
Most of them.
Yes, because your overhead needs to be X, and the budgets are, you know, whatever, so you can bring that in, obviously. So production companies are very, you know, few and far between that have directors, rosters that are really thriving and working and really feeding their roster of talent. I kind of came into this industry in that arena. Mm-hmm. You had a taste of it. You know, mm-hmm. What you're in now is much different. We'll talk about that. But you did experience the production company route at Taillight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, you know, I actually don't even, you could speak into it more.
Sure.
I don't know. I came into it sort of at the tail end of that being.
You did.
Because when I got signed by Taillight, 2014 maybe? Or 2015, Chandra Plume. Yeah. Shout out Chandra. She's, I mean, she single-handedly, she took like 2 years to develop me and teach me how to write.
Did it right.
And,
yeah, exactly.
and she single-handedly made sure that when I got on my first big set, I wasn't going to fucking blow it.
Well, that's one of my questions, you know, but like, honestly, back in the day, Tommy Labuda, Chandra, they develop a career.
Yeah.
And nowadays, they throw it at the wall and see what sticks. And I'm not saying it's just what it is, but yeah, keep going. I mean, I agree with you.
No, I mean,
you developed a career.
Yeah, God knows where I would have been if I had gotten on one of those sets and I hadn't had her there to just, you know, and at the time, you know, it's funny, like, I was like 21 or 20 maybe when she signed me, mm-hmm. and I was just dumb as fuck, man. I had no, like, she, you know, and I was so. At that age, I was like, you know, I was still in that, like, fuck college, bleach my hair, I had a fucking nose ring, the whole thing. Yeah. And I was like, that was such just an I didn't want to listen to anybody about anything. And
you knew everything.
I knew everything. and looking back at it now, like, walking onto that first set, I realized, like, I literally didn't know fucking anything. And maybe sometimes I worked to my advantage, sometimes it didn't, but I think.
What was your first, real quick, let's go into that. What was your first big job?
21 Summer.
Yeah. For Brothers Osborne, right?
Yeah.
And you had John Matishak shot that. I mean, come on.
Yeah. He'd be a good
already.
Guest. Yeah.
I would love to get him on this.
Yeah.
And I will holler at him. Yeah. But that's also Chandra knowing to put you with
she made
veteran.
That call. Yeah.
She knew what to do. But she also knew that your personalities, I mean, because you guys did some fantastic work together.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of the video. You already know what I'm talking about. Devin Dawson.
Yeah.
That was that's when we met after that. I was like, he's your guy.
Yeah.
You know, now.
We actually, that video, Matishak, I miss you, by the way. But we had we were down to our last like 20 minutes, and in the intro shot of that video was the last shot we were doing on the day. And Matishak and I, we had scouted obviously, but we were in the process of moving to that shot. Matishak and I we hardly spoke a word to each other between rolling take one and setting that shot up. And take one was a take we ended up using.
Really?
And it was like one of those things where I just looked at him. I was like, did we do everything right there? And he was like, yeah, man, I can't believe that worked. It's like, but it was, you know, I think prep and just seeing things the same way. Sure. And Devin was dialed in, and actually Chase was one of the actors in that video, funny enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was just like one of those things where it's like, I think when you connect with somebody, you can. And Fenner and I have something very similar, right?
Yes,
where
you're ready to capture lightning in a bottle.
Yeah,
and you're working together towards it, and it's not accidental; it's intuitive, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think. a lot of that lightning. It's lightning in the bottle on the day, but there's so much that goes in, which right?
Of course.
It's, but
what would be what? Okay, looking back now at Justin 2024 to then, what would you say you've learned from that, or looking back, what would be it?
Yeah, I think.
Were you scared? Were you scared when you woke up that day? Like, oh my fuck, am I gonna fake this till I make it? Or were you like I'm trying to think back with like my early videos with the Bone Thugs and Harmony. I was scared out of my mind.
Yeah. Did you have a rep when you were?
Yes, Tommy Labuda.
Yeah.
I remember when I got that phone call. My God, I quit.
How did you pitch? Were you writing treatments and?
Yeah.
How did you provide treatments?
Back then, I just had we got a CD. From the label.
Yeah.
And then a brief sheet.
That right there that's crazy.
Yep. A brief sheet that said XYZ on it, and we would have.
Is this an email or was this
email?
Okay. Yeah.
Email, and then you would get like 3 days to write it, and you would facilitate it back to your production company, and then your rep would try to work the channels.
So it's not too dissimilar, just
not too
difference in formats.
No, but I mean, with me now, where I wear all the hats. It's much different. I had to learn that. Luckily, Tommy Labuda would be my. I remember being signed with him at 19 years old, which was insane, and I didn't know anything about the business. But I was like you, where I was confident enough to walk into any room, but I was essentially faking it till I make it.
But you always knew you could. If you get me on set, I can see it.
I got you, but I had a lot to learn at 19, and I remember going to the production company every day. Every day, I loved it so much, and I felt proud that I got signed to these big companies. Because I remember when I went to those production companies to get signed, I was scared to go in the door. That you have to understand. It's a different mentality, to submit your work in a cooler. We submitted in styrofoam coolers with ice and popcorn and beer, Corona beers in a DVD or some shit.
You're giving them gifts.
And then, dude, half the time they'd holler us back to go look at it. But like, you felt so alive to be in that company because that was directors. Mark Romanek is in there. Spike Jonze is in there. Are you kidding me? Are they in the office? Hey, I gotta go to the restroom real quick just to do a drive-by, a walk-by.
And was that different from your agency? Was that your agency or your production company? Or
production company, but they were all the same.
Okay, gotcha.
Tommy was. I've been with Tommy since the very beginning. I was his first director.
That's awesome.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Him, Billy Woodruff, and I say Smith and Bourne, with Frank. But yes, I have this real connection to I forget where was I going with that.
You'd asked me about my like if I could go back and.
Yes, going back. What would you learn?
I think. I don't think it would be like an execution or a directing thing. I think it would be more of a, just an overall. Like overall, I think I would have told myself stop trying to prove to people or tell people what you can do. Just go do it.
Love it.
I think
that's wise. I love that. That's growth too, by the way.
Yeah, I think now like I don't feel the need to explain to somebody that. Hey, I'm capable of this. If you don't think I'm capable of it, that's okay.
That's it.
But when you're 19, 20, 21, you see this other work and it fires you up. You go, I could fucking do that. I could do that. Like, why didn't they hire me, right? And I've realized that it doesn't matter. They didn't hire me because they didn't want me. And if they don't want me to do the job, I don't want to do the job. You're going to end up in a mess if that's the case. So
I remember sitting in a production company with a big wig on like fucking Beverly Boulevard. And again, these meetings are amazing. You're sitting next to Jared Leto over there and whoever over there, and having these extravagant lunches with these executive producers, these companies. You're like, God, work. And I remember
those days are gone.
Those days are gone.
Sorry.
They are gone. But I can tell all stories.
Nobody's eating extravagant lunches at production companies.
So tune in. I'll tell you the story, you guys.
Yeah.
But you felt so alive. And I remember being at this meeting, I was crushed. Because I felt like I was there. And he said, and it changed my whole filmmaking approach. Your work will get more recognized when you slow down. Mm-hmm. Your work is as spazzy as you are. Mm-hmm. And dude, it made me really stop and think about how I want to approach the craft. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It was amazing. It was amazing. I love that that thing. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's easy to overthink things, right? And a lot of my most viewed work is my most simple work. You know, I think the video for Chasing You you were on that set.
Yes.
But it's there's
yes.
nothing to it. It's a black and white video. He's sitting on the top of the car.
Simplicity.
And it's so simple, and it works for the song, and it's people. It was easy for people to attach themselves, I think, to Morgan as an artist, and they could feel what he was singing. It felt very genuine and authentic coming from him. Which, by the way, he's a really great actor. But yeah, I think.
But you know what I love about your work too? It's disciplined in the craft. You're not cutting to cut. I'm over the cutting to cut. Speed cuts and this and this and that. And that example, or even cover up.
Cover me up.
Cover me up. Come on.
It's actually the pacing's really slow on that video.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I use that as an example.
But here, I think
that's filmmaking, though. That's recognizing what you need to do as a director.
Yeah.
Because so often hell, you need to cut everybody. You know.
I mean, I only cut to hide. Mm-hmm. If I'm cutting,
cover up.
Yeah. If I cut, I'm hiding something.
we messed up. We flubbed somewhere. DP tripped on his shoelace.
It's like, well, even in the edit though. In the edit, right? I cut to hide.
Of course.
There's no other reason in
the Robert Rodriguez approach, El Mariachi.
Right? Yeah, if I can work to, you know, I think in Cover Me Up, there's a shot where she walks out of the bathroom, and it would have been really easy to make that a 2, 3, 4 shot, and it's like we don't have to hide anything. We have the set. We have the actors are great. Like, there's no reason for us to cut to hide. So let's block it in a way where we can just, the camera is continuously moving and constantly revealing something new. And I think something I try to do in my work is build the, you know, if the hook or the chorus of the song is going to hit, build that into what you're shooting, right?
Sure.
Don't plan on having to cut there. See if you can do something on set that'll allow that energy to happen on set, and that way you don't have to, because a cut is one, you should never feel a cut, but naturally you do, and every time you cut, people know you're lying.
Yes,
they know you're lying about something.
Recognize
right?
There's a production.
Yeah, so I think cuts just need to be, you know, as I've gotten older, I feel like I've gotten much better at recognizing like how much you can build into one take. How much you can say in 10 seconds.
Did you slow it down?
Yeah.
You slow things down. You look at how much. It's what.
You can say
for us
so
young
much.
Guys, or you young guys, but me, back in my story, we need that slow down. And as you said, you get older, you slow down.
And I think you can say so much more in 10 seconds without cutting than you can in 10 seconds with cutting.
For sure.
Because people's brains go everywhere. It's distracting, and I think if you can figure out how to do something that's 10 seconds long without a cut that remains interesting, you will let the viewer digest it. You will let them feel it, and then you can cut, and you will move on to something else, and you'll use that cut to tell the story, not to hide or not because you're not confident in your actor's ability or your art department or whatever it might be. So,
of course,
yeah, I think the less you can cut, the better.
So, with that said, how does your process work? I mean, you obviously, like, how much prep? I believe in the 7 Ps. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. More planning, I want to meet with my DPs. I want to meet with my people. Let's talk it through. So when we get to the day, of course, shit's going to hit the fan. I'm ready to absorb those little hits. You know,
some of that might come from, you know, when you were in the early 2000s, I think things had to be a bit more that way. Naturally, with the way sets were bigger, budgets were bigger.
You're definitely boxed in.
Yeah, you were more boxed in. And I think, I mean, what percentage of your jobs do you think back then did you have to build sets for?
I wasn't a big set build guy, but
that actually makes sense.
Yes.
That makes sense, yeah.
Some of my big, like Good Charlotte Predictable in Toronto was a big set build, and literally, I will tell. Can you remember your thought real quick? I got a great story.
Yeah.
We were building. It was a making the video. Our third one with Good Charlotte, predictable in Toronto or Vancouver. I forget, Toronto, and it was supposed to feel very Tim Burton meets Dr. Seuss, and I went to the set build, huge. It was a 2-day shoot, 2-day making the video with the whole MTV crew, everything.
And what the set build took them like a week?
A week. It was a wood shop. We got there in Toronto. We go in there and
So you had to know when you went into that. Not to interrupt you, but
please.
You had to know going into that. Talking about your prep plan, you had to know going into that exactly what you wanted out of that set.
Yes.
And I think that is probably why you leaned.
Yes, but to add to what you're saying, I hated it.
Oh, when you got there and saw it?
And I freaked out. We had talked about wallpaper, old wallpaper with wainscoting in the bottom, very Tim Burton-y, and it didn't look right at all. It looked very bad. Now, again, it was the night before day 1. It wasn't going to be needed till day 2. I look at them and I go, Hagai, our producer his name was Hagai. And I go, Hagai, we got to shelve this whole thing. He goes, what do you mean? What do you mean?
I knew he was going to be an Indian guy.
Yeah, he was, sorry, he was Israeli. He was Israeli.
I knew he wasn't going to be an American
guy. The guy was in the Israeli army. He's a beast of a guy. Yeah. Anyway, he's like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? I go, wait, this isn't right. Let's make it like, remember in Edward Scissorhands, he's up in the attic, it looked like rock and stone. He goes, I do, but that's wallpaper. I go, let's make it stone.
That's a big ask. The night before, yeah, that's a big ask.
And he walks away.
How old were you?
He walks away. How old was I? 21, 2?
Yeah.
And he's like, that's what it will take. And I'm like,
what a number?
A number was going to cost me
Yeah.
Me and Frank.
Yeah.
And we both go, get it done. Yeah. And it was crazy because perfection had to be done. It was too early in my career as making the video. I can't shit the bed. Are you kidding me? Hell no. And that's what I recognize with you. It's like, stop at nothing. You will get to the place at the top of the mountain where things will be compartmentalized, will be organized, and you can be the leader. You'll be wise, you'll be older, you'll be patient, you'll be slower.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, that was a $33,000, just so everybody knows, that what was on the calculator was $33,000.
Right. Which is like your average budget for a video nowadays, by the way. The whole thing.
And it looked great. Yeah, and that's the
yeah.
main performance in it was a main performance too, by the way. And by the way, to talk about boxed in, I mean, dude, it used to be like lock the camera off, sit back, roll camera, action.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And hope the artist entertains you. But then when digital came in, we're off on a tangent. Fuck it.
No, I'll
because that's going to go back into one of my questions is, do you wish you had worked in film? But my point was like where digital has kind of made things different. But let's get into that.
Well, that leads back into the question you asked me, which was the proper planning, what do I,
yes.
I think that leads back into the question you had about prep and, which actually kind of helps to explain the answer that I was going to give you with, you said you're very much a believer in proper prep, proper this, proper then. I'm a believer in the proper amount of prep, not necessarily, because I think over prepping is a very serious problem that a lot of people do. And I think the amount of prep you had to do to shoot film was very different than the amount of prep you need to do to shoot digital.
Extremely.
And that helps and that hurts, right? There's a push and a pull there. But I think that for me, the most important things are building out an environment that I can shoot around, right? And a lot of DPs that work with me, they know that I always talk about shooting. Usually I open the convo, I want to shoot 360, and they go, well, that's fucking impossible. And I go, all right, well, then I want to shoot.
They're like, you asshole.
Yeah, and then I go, well, how do you feel about 270? And then they're like, that's okay. And I'm like, and typically we usually land at around like 245, So
without fail. You're walking to a location. Troy's like, hey, where are we shooting? That's all you need. That's all you get.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you that. There's Video Village.
Right, exactly.
I'll give you that much.
Yeah, so it's like, and then it's like, all right, what, which corner works best for you? There's a lot of discussion but I don't prep, I think, as heavily as maybe people would think. Mm-hmm. I think that, if I'm doing something VFX heavy or whatnot, then maybe sure. But, I don't really storyboard much. I feel like I thrive personally knowing, is my camera there? Is my DP there? Is my talent there? Or not there. Is my camera or my lens package good?
Yeah, you in line. Yeah.
Is my DP good? Yeah. And I hire people that I trust, right? And I think that for me, as long as I have a set full of people that I trust, I'm very confident that I can show up on set. And if I don't know the camera move, it's 9 out of 10 times you can sit and you can dream about the camera move over and over and over.
The X factor is going to eliminate that the second you get out of bed.
Yeah. Well, and you show up on set and, oh shit, we see the top of this set. We see the light up. It all changes. And I think that for me, almost always my best work comes from just allowing myself to, I actually watched a behind the scenes thing with Spielberg and I realized, maybe not always, but he seems to work similar. There's no script in his hand. There's no storyboards in his hand. He just stands there and he talks to the actors, and the DP kind of just watches on, and he just figures out it's a little different if you're Spielberg. You got every toy in the book on standby. But I mean, it was clear to me that I think it was Jurassic Park. I was watching the behind the scenes on when they pull up in the cab to the main, whatever, the museum, or the zoo, I guess it was, but the park. The park, duh.
The amusement park.
Yeah. The Jurassic Park. Yeah. But no, and I was like, and I think I saw something, maybe it was the movie that he did with Tom Hanks about the newspaper. I can't remember. It was kind of a sleeper movie. It did well at the Oscars, but he was saying, all I know is how I'm getting into my scene and how I'm getting out of my scene. Mm-hmm. And that was maybe 6 or 7 years ago I heard that. And I've actually really carried that with me in terms of when it comes to directing. I'm never worried about what I'm going to be shooting during the scene. My transition in, I think about. My transition out, I think about. How to cover it.
Do you map out the song beforehand to know if there's a special thing? Boom, 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 boom.
It depends.
Because I map out the song. I don't do a lot of prep, especially on my 200th plus video. Troy, you'll be the one to contest to add to this, but I'll be chased down for, can you get me a shot list? Yeah, it's called wide, medium, close up, ECU, dirty.
Yeah, it's like
every location.
All you need to know is, do you want to start close or do you want to start wide? That's
and I'll look at the clock and I'll be like, eliminate the medium. Go dirty over and that's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have learned from the early days where everything had to be, God, I mean, you'd have black 4x right here, and you'd be like, hey, Probst, can you give me a little bit? And sure as shit, though, you move that son of a gun 2 feet back a little bit, and you're like, it's missing something. Bring it in. I'll work around my frame. You know what I mean? He's softening it. Exactly. I mean, yes, I can't wait to get him on the podcast. But, so do you wish at all you kind of lived in the glory days of the film era, or are you just like, no, you know what, screw it. I love where I'm at with digital, or any curiosity, because you just did a project, I can't mention for Hardy, where I see you tickling in some film, and you have done that. So is there any intrigue, or what's going on with that?
For me, I don't think I have any intrigue personally in shooting film back, or being a part of the glory days of film, quote unquote.
Sure.
But I like that that film is an option for me as a director. Aesthetically, yeah. Sure. I think it's kind of the sweet spot now, right? Because who knows, at some point they could stop. Kodak could say, fuck it, we're done. But hopefully they don't do that. But I think it was very, I mean, even Kodak, they don't develop black and white film. And we had to go to
limited.
Yeah, we had to go to a lab in Massachusetts for that. But I think for me, it's more just nice to have that in my book. That we were doing a period piece, the thing you're specifically talking about, and I think film really worked well for that. We also did something with Morgan at Abbey Road in London. We didn't shoot fully on film, but we were in Studio 2.
Pieces.
Every iconic photo coming out of Studio 2 was shot on film. For me, film very much felt like something that I should have there just to be able to dabble with.
What do you think it gives you as a filmmaker when you say, you know what, I need to pull that arrow out? What is that aesthetic that you, a seasoned filmmaker, is thinking?
I think it's the imperfections and the cadence.
Of course.
I don't think people talk about that enough. I think they talk about the grain and all this other. Most of film to me at this point is very easily emulated digitally, especially with AI. Back maybe 4 or 5 years ago, film was to emulate film. You were just laying a grain over the top of the image, but now you can take these images and you can have the computer interpret the image, and they can decide that. Because when you shoot film, there's more grain in the shadows than there is in the highlights. The grain is different across the entire image, right? Based on the color and the depth of the blacks or the highlights, and you can do that digitally now, very easily too. You can do it. I can do it on my iPhone. So it's
keep that thought, but it made me think. I want to get someone like Matishak on here. You know why? Or Nick Allen. Those guys who still shoot film in the way that I look at the way we shot film, where you weren't just shooting to shoot it, you were lighting it intensely.
They love it.
Yes, you were doing it. When because when you shoot it, DPs to me, I can't imagine that anxiety. For example, we would shoot a video in Florida. You would send that reels on wheels to LA. To get it photocammed. It would be a week later, but then if you're getting the guru colorists, David Hussey, Bo Leone, Stefan, Sonnenfeld, you're going to wait for their availability because you're a music video budget, so you're like getting bumped. We're going in, go, we got Dave Hussey, let's go. And then you're in a 16-hour, 11-hour session. And I mind you, when you're coloring that film, and each hour is $600 and more in commercials.
And was this chemical process or is this computer?
No, this is all on a DaVinci, and you'd be in a machine, digital. The film would be loaded up on the rank, so you would go many times. I would be shooting this, and dude, the whole point of this part was how anxiety a DP would have. I had anxiety showing up 7 days later to see my film, and then of course you look at it, it's like rolling through the rank. You're like, good God, that's dark. That's dark, dude. And then all of a sudden you'd be like, boop, 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 and then I just remember Jonathan Sella. God, he's a fantastic DP. Die Hards and Terminators and shit. We used them early on in our career. You'd be like, John, how we looking good? You'd be like, we're looking good? And it'd be like, not good. Before you knew it was beautiful. And that film.
A lot of these guys now are, because they're so familiar with it, they'll like underexpose 250T and they'll, buy a stop or two, and then they'll just punch it up,
Do you think, sorry.
No, I think, what were you going to...
I just wonder, when you processed your film and you saw your film back, was it opening your presents for Christmas at 9 years old feeling? Because that's what I was getting at. When you show up to the transfer, and of course a big coloring facility like Company 3, they'd be making, the client assists would be making you eggs and things. You'd be, I'm in Bay 7 with Hussey, and you sitting there, hey, what's up? And they bring your eggs, and but like, I forget what I was saying with that. But it to me, there's a Christmas feeling and energy going to see your film, and you're unwrapping your film, and in digital. I'm past all that now, of course. I'm shooting all digital. I shoot the latest and greatest that you do. But I like the discussion of it, of reminiscing, or for me to be able to reminisce, but wondering if you could.
I think you probably romanticize film.
For sure.
The same way maybe Nick or Matishak or DPs romanticize film because it just adds it gives their image something that it otherwise wouldn't have, right?
Yeah, a nostalgia. That's what I was going to say to you when I asked you what it gives you. I loved what you said, but for me, of course it is for me. That's how I started. It gives me, it paints an emotion. It gives me a nostalgia that digital, but I do agree with you. The technology in digital, we can do a lot of wonderful things, and no, with the anxiety that I face in my that I naturally have, I ain't shooting film for a long time.
Yeah. Well, I think also for me, a lot of my work is, from a business perspective, I don't find film to be a very smart option.
I agree.
From the monitoring on set to for a handful of other reasons, right? To the risk that you're taking, and I think that at the end of the day, my job is to deliver. I'm not shooting something for me. These aren't my personal projects, and my job is to deliver something in the highest quality and of the highest format and in the most protected way possible to the client. And I think that film is not that in any way, shape, or form. So I think if I do shoot film, it's, on this most recent set, there's 2 other digital cameras.
Protecting your ass. Making you sleep well at night. Because that's what it was for me, the few projects. I remember doing a job, I forget what it was, Yellow Wolf or something. And I was shooting Super 8. And I got, the creative carrot in front of me. Yes, let's do it. And then when it got down to it, I'm like, the whole video hinges on this Super 8? Oh, dear God.
Boy video.
Yes. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I caught that one. Yeah.
I know you did. I had to think about that as I was preparing our episode today.
Yeah.
But God, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do enjoy. Okay, it's a perfect segue into where is the business heading now? I face frustrations with it, and I adapt. I naturally adapt with everything because you have to, but it doesn't. Still talk about it. As a director sitting on set. Are you being asked? Are you compromising your frame for vertical or for different assets, different socials, different needs versus focusing on the creative, versus focusing on the art, or giving space to photographers who need to shoot a photo like me?
When the pictures are going to be great, it's okay. Yeah.
But do you know what I mean?
If I'm going to give space to a photographer, go do a bunch of dog shit, then it's annoying.
And you do. You give it always to me, by the way. And I thank you for that, because there's never an issue with us. We're always just boom, done. But back to what I was asking is, do you feel like the business, for me, there's such a dramatic changes. Where is it from your lens, from you, how you came into where you're at?
I think a lot of directors take those asks personally.
We do.
I don't. And I think that's one of the reasons that I work as much as I do, because if you want me to go shoot vertical, I don't care. I'll go shoot vertical. I don't light anything. It doesn't matter to me. And I think if a director wants to take those things personally, they need to remember it's not your money, it's not your project, it's everything I do is and it kind of actually leans back into our film conversation, right? It's why I don't like shooting film, because I'm shooting for the masses. I'm shooting for 1 billion people. They don't give a fuck if I shot on 16 mil, 35 mil. They don't care if I shoot IMAX,
Scott
LF,
Cunningham.
35.
Scott Cunningham always telling me, Ryan, Spidey. That's where it's going to live.
Yeah, and I think it just, for me, if somebody needs other assets, those assets they're only asking for those things to help promote the project.
Sure.
So I'm more than happy to deliver you assets that will help this project get views, right? Because the more that's beneficial to me as well. So I think,
it's an insanely wonderful and I believe seasoned approach. Yeah, because you weren't always. That had to come. That had to be developed. You had to learn that.
Yeah, I think it was once, really what changed was when Instagram introduced vertical video. I think that was it was stories and vertical video, because Instagram introduced stories when Snapchat was around. It was kind of their answer to Snapchat stories. And then Instagram introduced stories, and Instagram has become such a business platform. There's a lot of, people use it personally, but if you scroll through your Instagram, it's probably 75% business that you're looking at, right? So I think
once, me, yes.
Yeah, once Instagram became that, I think that the asks started to change. I also think, though, with that, I think that camera technology has really come around a long ways. You know, we can shoot on the LF. I shoot a lot of projects LF spherical.
With a candle.
Yeah, like the Morgan. Yeah, right. But we're shooting 4.5K in 4:3. If I want to go 16:9, I can crop 16:9. If I want to go vertical, I have all that resolution, high and low, to play with. So I think that, you know, like the Morgan, the most recent it was a year ago, but the acoustic session we did.
Was that in the backstage in the arena?
It was with the lights. Yeah, there's like a ring of lights around him.
Yep.
We were going to shoot spherical, and we showed up, and we said, we changed the camera order because we said we want the resolution high and low to show that lighting rig and to show that you know, we had the floor shining, and I think
you wanted your top and bottom versus your left and right.
Right,
and I didn't want to show that anamorphic that it's covered. Yeah,
and I think that was a decision too, that, you know, consciously knowing this stuff is going to be promoted all over Instagram. It's going to be promoted all over so many platforms, TikTok, and so many of these platforms are going to want it in vertical, and that's only beneficial to us. If I can make the image look good horizontal and vertical, then great. And I think that I don't think it's hard to do that nowadays, and I think that directors need to not take that personally if a client is asking for something.
I agree with you. You know, my process in my world when I'm working, when it gets to post, I am notoriously, and I'm not challenged, I need my time in the edit. I need my time to explore every single alley. I need to be able to spend 2 days and throw it away. So I usually get about 7-8 days to edit.
Troy, have you ever cut for Spidey?
No.
God bless.
Yeah, I'm intense. I like to frame fuck everything. Yeah. I look at every frame, as you know. But my process is once I'm done, and I'm very collaborative with the editor. Are you cool? What do you think? What do you think? What?
I think you're very collaborative.
And once we're done, I'm out. Label can do what all they need. I will provide wisdom and say we don't have. I will be there in the edit, but I don't get emotional.
Right.
Because I know that I got my creative baby out of the way. And hey, a lot of the times, label, managers, artists provide wonderful notes. Wonderful notes. And I use them. I like their note on 3, I like their note on 5, and their last note. Everything else, keep theirs. Awesome. Bye, guys. They get what they want. I get to benefit from their collective wisdom. Use it if I want to. If I don't, Cuisinart into my little blender. But I don't get emotional for it. So I am very much in agreement with you. Now, do you have a favorite video you have done? Something that just for whatever reason. Is it the Brothers Osborne? Is it what? You know, and why? Why? What is it?
That's a hard question.
It is. What's your baby? What your first baby? Is there any video that stands out in your career thus far?
I think the video. That's a hard question. I think
7 Summers was pretty good.
I like.
I remember 7 Summers was like, in my opinion, was when I was like, oh, okay, what's he doing there? What's he doing there? He's got some slow motion. He's got
in the rain.
He's got the slow mo rain and this. And that.
I knew, like, when we were scouting that, I don't think we had the Phantom on, and I was like, I don't know what you guys have to do to. But for anyone listening, a Phantom camera is like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 frame per second camera, so it's ultra slow mo. And we had all the rain there, we had everything else lined up, and I think we were going to shoot a red camera originally, and ended up said scrap all the reds, get Alexas, and let's just bring a Phantom on for this one specific scene. And I mean, when we were shooting that, and a Phantom is interesting because you shoot it, and and it has to process. It's a long. It takes like 4 or 5 minutes between every take to process it. Sure. So we would roll like, I think there's maybe 45 seconds of phantom footage in there, and that was probably 2 to 3 seconds of actual, action cut. 3 seconds, and it ends up being 45 seconds in the edit. But, yeah, that shot definitely, like if I haven't cut a reel in like 3 or 4 years, but if I were to cut a reel, like that shot would be. I mean, and when we shot it on set, we knew we watched it back.
It feels reminiscent of the real stylized, split negative fill with a little bit of an edge. Beautiful mixed color, temperature, rain, slow. I was like, I remember that. I was like, yes.
Yeah. That shot, I think.
I remember a lot of your videos, but there is that shot. I'm glad there's a story to it.
Yeah, that shot that's definitely one of the best shots of my career, probably this far. But
I can recognize him.
Yeah. And it's also, I think it's the thumbnail of the video, so it's lived on well. Yeah.
Perfect.
But I think Homemade with Jake. The long form of Homemade is like really. I think that's a very special video to me because I think it was just like very meta. Like we were taking a podcast that Jake did with his grandparents, and his grandpa and grandma are narrating the visual through talking to Jake, and Jake is playing his grandpa in the visual. I just really like that idea of that. Yeah. It's such an all-inclusive family, and I think, I don't know, maybe I think Homemade actually got nominated for a CMA, but the music video I think maybe fell a little short for some people, but I think for Jake to have, and I would imagine Jake would probably say the same thing for the music video. It turned out good, like there's good performances. But I think for Jake to have that long piece, I think that piece will just kind of live infinitely. Like, you know. For sure,
stand up.
Yeah, I think 50, 60 years from now, if Jake's kids can show that to their kids, whatever it might be, I just think that's like a very cool piece for Jake and Jake's family to have. For sure.
He's very big on that.
Yeah, I think it was cool. And I also think that piece kind of like, it opened me up as a director a little bit. Like Fenner and I shot, I think like F7 for most of that. Yeah.
F7?
Yeah, we were deep on a lot of it. And it was because I really just wanted it to feel, it was the first job
Was that a trust thing? Did you have to be trusted into that? I mean, I would trust Fenner too, but.
We had such good sets. And I think that I was like, I just want this to feel like I want hard light. I want classic blockbuster. I want Titanic. That's what I want, you know? Like that. And I think that.
Was that a reference? Because it felt like that. The orange and.
Yeah, like Titanic, Notebook. Yeah. Lots of like big blockbuster films. I don't remember. There was another pretty
romanticized lighting.
It was really romantic. Yeah. And I think that, and it was a love story, and it was like, and to me, I think that job really, it made me realize that those are the types of films I want to make. You know, I'm not an art house director. I was on set and I was like, I just love how romantic all of this feels, and and I think. You know, we also went in and we scored that whole thing. We transposed the song. We turned it into strings. I had somebody play piano for all of it, and the whole edit is actually cut to a click track. So the whole edit is
Whose idea was all that?
It was a combination of myself and Kyle.
And heighten on each other. Hey, we could do this.
Yeah. He was basically the sound editor. Yeah. I guess he was sound design and the composer on it. But he was privy on the edit the whole time, and we just cut the thing to a click track.
I love working with Jake.
Yeah.
He understands everything up to the shoot. Lets you roll with it.
Yeah.
It's your vision. Take it.
Yeah. So it was. I think that whole piece turned out special, and the ending credits sequence has pictures of his and the acting is really good, and the sound design, there's a part in that visual that really just where they're dancing together, and the score is just so big, and it swoops in, and it's like
I know that part.
Yeah, it was just a very satisfying, very emotional, satisfying moment.
Don't you love seeing that stuff when you're on set?
Yeah.
When you feel that, you're like, God, that's awesome.
Yeah. When they're, because Jake's a great actor too, actually.
Yeah.
And Kelly, funny enough, Kelly, who played Jake's grandma, I'd known her I'd known her since maybe 2011. and she had moved out to LA. I met her in Madison, Wisconsin, and she had moved out to LA to be an actress. And I was looking at pictures of Jake's grandma, and I called her. I was like, "You've got to audition. Like, this is like the job. Like, I need you on this job." And she auditioned, and they thought it was great, and it was awesome. It was fun to work with her too. It's kind of like a full circle thing. So
I like that story. That's a good story.
Yeah,
I couldn't have you here today without the obvious. If people know you like I do, and there's a two-part to this, of course, because the obvious part is your fitness, your rock climbing, which I don't know if you're doing as much because you have focused so much. You were trying to find your niche, and you found it, I believe, in your triathlons, which, of course, Justin Clough's going to find a triathlon. I'm sorry, be a triathlete, or an Ironman, I'm sure is going to be soon to come, or... Oh, fuck off, dude, I already did it.
Funny enough, I've always been into fitness. Like, I played basketball through high school. And I think it got kind of lost for me as I got older. It's so easy to be lazy. It's just so easy to be lazy. And I think, like you said, when I started to realize, like, I just needed something that, doing things that made me bleed or whatever it might be, right? Form of expression there. But when you do something that makes you bleed, when you survive that, you feel like a beast. And I think that a lot of people don't have that. And I think that feeling of just being a fucking savage. Yeah, is really, if you feel shitty, like, just go throw as much fucking weight around in the gym as you can. And I promise you, you will feel better after. You might fall back into that same pattern of not feeling great, but
do it again.
Do it again, right?
And again.
It's the hardest part of fitness is getting there. And I think once you're there and once you're warmed up and you're in it, it just feels so good, and it's kind of a flow state. Honestly,
without being trite and obvious, don't you feel it gives you a sense of, I don't know, an escape from the madness. You get to live in your own head for a little bit. You know what I mean? You're in control of your own destiny. I guess that's what, for me, working out is being
meditative.
Yes, it's being in control of me. So much of my mental health in this business, and the reason for this podcast is for the lack of control. Damn it, I want a little control. That's what I want. So here we are, you know what I mean? Like, and that's what it feels. You've motivated me for that same thing, and I deal with it constantly. The mental health side of things. I mean, I don't know if you come from a place of that, what hits you the most? I mean, is it when the phone's not ringing? Is it the fact that you're not moving forward enough? And this might need to play a little bit before the big loud, when you were a little bit more swimming out in the waters, you're a little bit more insulated now, and you have a different set of complications and workload.
Sure. Yeah.
Of course. But we try to go back a little bit, or maybe not.
No, I think mental health is always prevalent, right? I think
As a creative,
even if I'm in a good situation, it doesn't mean I'm not sitting there thinking about what I could do better or what I could be better at, right? And I think that's probably, I would imagine most people probably feel like that, especially creatives. But, going back on what we talked about earlier, depersonalizing it in the sense of, if you want something out of me and it's not what I want to do, it's not personal. It's just what you need to accomplish your product.
Sure.
I think that's been very good for my mental health.
Have you done a lot of thought process, a lot of alone time? What led you to that? It didn't just come from nowhere.
Well, I think, not to go too deep, but 2016-ish, my parents were divorcing. And it was very, I was away, and I kind of, I lost the feeling of, and this has all come back. My parents are great. I love them. But in that time frame, I kind of had lost the feeling of community, right? And I didn't feel like I could go home. I didn't feel like I could call them for advice. not because they wouldn't have accepted it, but it was kind of a me thing. Just feeling like when you watch people who you've kind of like looked up to or have done a lot for you start to change, and it's kind of like, you know, because I grew up great, and I think it was just this realization that things were probably not as good as they were on paper. And I think it kind of pushed me, like I didn't go home for like 2 or 3 years, I think. And that ended up pushing me into the climbing gym, funny enough. And the climbing gym, you know, I'd always been interested in climbing. Like I had pictures on a climbing wall when I was like 5 years old, you know, like it's been prevalent in my life. My mom used to take me climbing, but I think at that time that my parents were divorcing, it was just a very, like I could just go spend 4 or 5 hours at the climbing gym, and I just felt it was very, like I really loved everybody in there, and everybody was very
accepting of you.
Yeah, and nobody cared about, and to me it was like, okay, that's my escape, right? And it also, I think naturally it pulled me out of the bars, and because I was, you can ask Chase about 2016, 2017.
We've all been there, buddy.
Yeah, man, it was like, don't get me wrong, I had so much fun those
you can
years.
Throw them back.
Yeah, I had so much fun those years, but I think when you first start to get into fitness, it was kind of like people will make like sly comments, like they, you know, they'll stay in the bar and you're like, hey man, I'm gonna go climb for 4 hours today, 5 hours. That's what I want to do.
Why?
And people will, to make themselves feel better, and it happens to anybody who wants to make changes in their life, and the friends that you've built up, I think before you've made those changes, they don't like when you change something for the better and they stay the same, right? They feel that, and I think it's, a lot of times it's like their own insecurities, but they'll make comments like, oh, what are you just gonna work out? What do you, you know, they'll slide like, you don't hang out anymore, you just work out now, or you just, it's like, yeah, but I feel
great. And I'm going to bed at 10:30.
Yeah,
I'm waking up at 6:30.
Exactly.
I'm gonna hit the thing. I've had my day by 12.
Right. And people who make comments like that, a lot of times they don't understand, like, it's not about not hanging out with you. It's about, like, hanging out at the bar or hanging out with friends it's this tiny little slice of this massive life that I've lived.
Yeah.
And it's like all of these things back here are what, it's fixing all of this stuff back here by doing that, and this just has to adjust.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I think that was definitely like a bit of a hurdle mentally to get through for me.
Realigning the people that are in your network.
Yeah. And
that was big for me.
Yeah, and
that was big for me. So you're preaching, yes.
You can probably attest to it. It's not necessarily that you're not going to be friends with those people anymore. It's that they're no longer going to hit you up after a year or 2 years of that lifestyle. They'll no longer hit you up to go get fucked up.
Yeah.
And I think inevitably sometimes you do lose something when you don't have that.
For sure.
You know, because I also think they're great. Like, go out, have fun. There are great benefits to it. You have to do it, right?
But so maybe once every 2, but I don't know, every 2 months. I don't. Yeah. I'm a daddy. I don't get out much.
Yeah. Well, whatever works for.
But I honestly, I look at, and I've come in and out of my rock star years. But I look at where, when this shit really started to pop off, is when I was focused, dude. I was going to bed. I surrounded myself with the tightest crew. Everything was aligned right. They knew where I was. I was working out. I was feeling healthy. You know, it's two guys talking about the same thing. I mean, the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, you know?
Right. And I think all those things, at the end of the day, if you can get all those things dialed in, you'll probably be more successful than you were previously. But yeah, it's you know, I think it's different for everybody. Me, it happened naturally through looking for a community, and you know, one thing led to another, and triathlon is now where I live, and I'm fairly good at it. So
fairly good. You're semi-pro or almost whatever you want.
I'm not. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna boast you up. I know I'm getting my stats wrong for all your triathlete friends, but I'm proud of you, because that's not something you wake up and you go, you know what? I'm gonna go try my best to conquer this place, and I'm gonna build because you've created yourself a community outside of film, and that's very important. Yeah, it's very important. Now, would you?
I'm just a strong cyclist, by the way. I'm a really shitty swimmer, and I'm a middle of the road runner. We're working on both those things.
I mean, shit.
I'm good on the bike.
Keep having those photographers shoot you dude. Full flex, like black and white, full con. Yes. Now, would you give any advice to full circle? Mm-hmm. Full circle. You've dabbled in, you dabbled in the content where you were saying, like, I was shooting pieces, I didn't know what they were for. Now look at you, you're shooting, Did I not congratulate you in person for your CMA?
I don't. No, you did.
Okay.
At the Hardy shoot.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna do it on air, so it's official. Congratulations on that. I don't have. That's an amazing award.
Yeah.
And that.
Actually, videos I'm proud of is Wait in the Truck would be.
Wait in the Truck.
I mean, stupid. I didn't think of that, but that's.
I gotta bring it. Yes, Wait in the Truck, Hardy and.
Lainey.
Lainey Wilson. I mean, come on. And by the way, when I was shooting Lainey, wow. I mean, I was like shooting her. I'm like, good God, she's beautiful. She just knows how to entertain and suck everyone in. Mm-hmm. She's beautiful. Can we talk about that video for a quick second? I mean, that's a fucking rad video.
Yeah. I mean, Wait in the Truck was. It's just a song that doesn't come around very often. I think I did a good job on the video, but I think that it starts with the song, right? And the song is, I remember Tracker pulled me into his office and Lainey, it was actually still a demo tape, and he was just like, hey man, just get ready, because we're gonna shoot a big video for this. And he played me the song, and I, like, goosebumps the first time I heard it. He was playing it so loud. But, and Hardy...
Hey, but do you ever have an outsider perspective? Keep that thought. When you're in that moment, and you're listening to, like, music that is fresh out of the studio, would you ever be like, this is fucking dope? Or you just keep it super pro? I'm in a situation, I'm like, the Wolf still thinks I'm jaded by that shit. I'm like, you're wrong.
Yeah.
I love that shit. Anyway.
No, I do. I mean, when I first heard that, I was like, yeah. It's a crazy, I feel like that's a song that a lot of people will probably remember the first time they heard it, right? Yeah. Like, it's a very impactful song, and it hits you differently. And Hardy had kind of already had the idea. Mm-hmm. He had this big blurb, which is pretty common for Hardy. Hardy very much is, like, he's very visually creative, and he's a fucking genius. But
he is.
I think he had the idea for that video, and the only thing that I really had to do as a director was figure out, that video, there's 3 narratives running congruently, right?
Yep.
So figuring out the structure of it was the hardest thing for me. Figuring out, like, how do we because all happening at the same time. Hardy's giving a deposition to a lawyer. He's also in the courtroom. They're going through the court case, and we're seeing back the story happen, right? So I think figuring out the structure of that.
It wasn't beforehand?
A little bit, but it was pretty free flowing.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I had an idea. I
knew you were gonna pull it off. You knew you had it. Just maybe.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know what was gonna work in the edit though. Mm-hmm. With Wait in the Truck, it was I knew I had everything I needed, and I knew the edit would work. I wasn't worried at all about will the edit work. I just didn't quite know how. It was kind of, when we introduced the court case. Again, though, the one thing I will say, going back on what we were talking about, like, I knew my ins and outs of each scene. Okay. Like, I knew how Hardy was getting out of the vehicle and how he was going to knock on. I knew the music was going to cut out when he knocked on the door. Mm-hmm. I knew, which, by the way, the knocking on the door is me in the office at like 3 a.m, just with an iPhone, just banging on the floor.
Well, see, that's back to that editor you knew.
Yeah, foleying. But I think that whole visual, it was very much like made in the edit. And I was, Jay Miller cut that, and he did a phenomenal job on it. And then I kind of came in, and there were a lot of variations of that visual, and I'm super stoked on the one we landed on, honestly. But yeah, I don't think Jay cut that. Actually, I think I cut that, because Jay didn't start until 2023. So yeah, actually I cut that video.
I don't doubt it. I would think that you'd be like,
Because I cut.
Late at night, you probably had that son of a bitch cut that night.
Did.
You're like,
Yeah,
like me with photos. I'm like, I'm coming home. Like, oh, wow, yes.
Yeah,
By the way, yes.
I cut that and U-Proof at the same time because we shot them at the same time. But, yeah, I think Wait in the Truck was. There was another discussion on set. I remember we were all sitting in the trailer. And Wait in the Truck, it's a big commercial song, so there was a lot of commercial thought that went into it, right? Mm-hmm. And I knew I wanted to ride that line. I said, this needs to be consumable. It can't, because it would have been very easy to take that project and go handheld, shaky, and make it really just grungy, right? Even the fight sequence.
Yeah. Kinetic
and we didn't go handheld on it.
No, you went very mapped out.
And I asked Fenner, actually, I give the credit to Fenner on that, because
credit to both you guys.
I asked Chris, I just said, is this do you, and Chris is always, on Breaking Up Was Easy in the 90s, we had a similar conversation about a shot, but I was like, do you feel like, I was like, this just feels like maybe it should be handheld? He goes, no. And he was very confident when he answered. He goes, no, it needs to be, it's great. That's the way it is. Need. Yeah, and I said, and I had, and at the same time, also, by the way, we were shooting Venice 2, and I hadn't shot the Venice 2 for all you tech heads this week. I remember looking over at the camera, and it was like ISO 8 or 10,000. And I couldn't see in front of me, and I asked
How
Chris.
How are we doing there, Chris?
I was like, Chris, are you Kai? He goes, yeah, man, we're good.
We're good. That Jonathan Sella thing I was telling you about an hour ago. He's like, we're good.
Yeah. So
love that.
Yeah, that whole thing, and the reason I brought up the fight sequence was because outside of the visual language of making sure it was commercial, but we had to talk about, we shot a guy on camera, right? And the whole thing is that Hardy's character he's making a controversial decision, right? Like, you can hate the guy that he kills, but he also kills somebody. So it's, and that was
the line that she says. I know, her line. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think when we were on set, there was I think it was me, Tracker, Hardy. I think we were just standing there, and I was like, you want to shoot this guy? And his blood's going to splatter all over Hardy?
Squib that shit up.
And Tracker was just like, fuck it. Dude. It was very much like, it was, and I think Hardy also was like, yeah, because we were thinking about, we're thinking about Viacom and thinking about all these other places this thing might play, right? And everybody just kind of said, fuck it, man. He's like, we can't not.
We're here.
And that was what was very inspiring about that, was to see an artist as dedicated to his art. I'm like, if he's that dedicated to it, and he said, I don't, and he was in a good position where he's confident, and he just said, like, Hardy was just like, fuck it, man. There's no way we're not doing that, right? And I think that was, it was a pretty inspiring moment on set. And there's actually a picture, I think, of me and Hardy standing there, and that's what we're discussing. I'm like holding the shot list maybe or something, but
we'll find it.
Yeah, it might be on my Instagram.
We'll find it.
I don't know. I'm smiling, and I think he had just said, like, fuck it. He might still have the blood on him but yeah, it was funny enough, that gunshot, the muzzle shot too. Fenner had all these sky panels and shit queued up, and just couldn't get the muzzle flash right. And I was like, I remember asking him, I was like, does anybody just have a flashlight? And we just grabbed a flashlight and we just tapped it, and that was the fucking answer to the.
Love it.
It's like, think less, Like,
think less, think simple.
But yeah, I think Wait in the Truck I'm super proud of, and I think it turned out good, and I think it leaves people. There's a lot of little just a little hidden clues in there, and even Lainey being in the same truck at the end, and
it's a very disciplined video. Yeah. No, looking back to
the jail cell was a high school cafeteria, by the way.
Was it?
Yeah. The jail cell and the visitation were both, they were both shot in a high school cafeteria.
Yes.
So shout out public education.
Audience is going to love that stuff. That's the stuff I love. They're like, what did you make? I did that so many things. You're like, oh, that's a great location. Oh, that's in the library at the same bench.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We just turned the camera around.
Yeah, exactly. That's filmmaking.
Yeah.
That's that testament to you as a filmmaker. Yeah. Someone, as we said an hour ago, was study the craft up till now. Was there an emotion that you felt internally, though, when you won that award? I mean, so many people nowadays are like, oh, I don't give a fuck about it. I won an award. You know what? No. I'm stoked about mine.
No, I care about it.
And I remembered being like, yeah, I'm proud of you. That's awesome. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because look where you came. Cutting sound on a damn VHS and trying to do overlays on a thing to doing like not just a loosey handheld thing. That's a very crafted.
It's commercial, but it's like True Detective actually was our reference for a lot
Absolutely.
of it. Season 1 specifically, but I think when I won this CMA, it was interesting. We had already won the ACM. We had won a CMT. We had won People's Choice. And actually, People's Choice, I had like 4 of the 6 videos nominated, which I don't know what the deal with that award show is, but shout out People's Choice.
That's like the old school Dave Myers.
Yeah,
shout out to Dave Myers, but yes, you have the whole.
I'm like, I don't know. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah. God bless Dave Myers. He's so good, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but when we won the CMA, it felt the biggest out of all those. I think it was, I don't know, it's interesting. You know, the first time I was nominated for a CMA was COVID year. So there was no like, it was with Jake actually, it was for Homemade. But I think winning that CMA, outside of what it does for me, I think it's, like, it made me feel good to be honored and recognized by an industry that I've worked for 10 years. Anybody that says they don't care, that it's like they're full of shit. Like, yeah, it feels good.
Absolutely.
It feels really good.
And it should damn well feel
good.
And
it goes back into doing things that make you feel like a beast. That's it. Right? That's like, I've bled out over this fucking industry for 10 years, and it's
Look what
nice
got
to
you
get
to that
recognized.
position.
Yeah.
You can't erase that. But see, real quick off topic, but that goes back to that young Justin Clough who says, "Oh, I can do that."
Yeah.
Can you?
Which was like maybe arrogance.
Can you? Because you've gone 10 years of insane growth.
Yeah. Well, don't you think, like, when you're younger, arrogance is what will make you successful when you're younger, and it's what will wreck you when you're older. Because
there has to be that blend.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I am.
You slowly learn to rid it from your life when you realize that you don't need to prove yourself to anybody, or you don't have to tell people you're good at something. Yeah. You just need to do it.
I don't have to be number one. I am number one.
But before you've done anything, you do have to be a bit arrogant to walk in and say, "Yeah, I'll do that. I can do that better than everybody." Like,
so do it while you can.
Yeah,
that's my number one thing to people. Everybody's like, when I used to speak to colleges around the country, Full Sail, speak to like 700 kids. Every time I threw it back at this auditorium of people. So how did you get to doing what you're doing so at 18 at such a big level? Because I knew exactly what I wanted to do.
Yeah. And maybe arrogance, honestly, the way you just phrased it, maybe arrogance isn't the right word. It's just you're just naive. You're just like,
wonderful.
You're not arrogant. You're just naive. You're just, let me get in. And as you become more successful, you have to get rid of, you cannot be naive. The further, the more you grow, the bigger you get. But when you're young and naive and you're like getting into it, like, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like what made my career, in all honesty.
Yes, you got to, and that leads me to something that's a very important question for me to you, and that is, what advice would you give to young, aspiring filmmakers or even content creators who want to take that leap into production, to their Brothers Osborne, where you didn't know shit, but Chandra saved you and put you, not saved you,
she might have saved me.
But at least had the wherewithal to put you with a vet.
I wish we'd have to ask her what she thinks she did for me.
Maybe we'll get her on it.
Saved me, yeah. Joanna, Chandra, whoever you want to. But no, I think.
What advice would you give?
It's a hard question for me because I don't know if I'm the right person to answer that.
Why would you say that? You're the ideal.
But when I started my career, I just didn't have to do the content hustle. When I started my career, all I did was music videos.
I
did.
Why? Because what did you want to do?
Right, I knew it's what I wanted to do.
You didn't waste your time. You didn't deviate. It's not wasting time. It's all learning, a part of the whole process. I preach that. but you knew where you needed to go, and you went to it, and now you're growing.
Also, though, to take like any pretentiousness out of that, I like outside of knowing, like I wanted to make movies, and what I really want to do is just work. And music videos were a means to make money for me.
Sure.
And I fell in love with them. Don't get me wrong. I love music videos. But
I love them. It's my whole career is based.
Yeah.
It's all.
I love them. I think, though, at the time when I was 18, 19, I was like, if I could make fucking $750, like that was more money than I made in 5. It took me 3 weeks at the sub shop. I was making $7.95 an hour for 4 years at Cousin Subs.
So that kid at the sub shop who's making now $12 an hour, listening to this, going, wow, dude, he's done Morgan Wallen, he's done Wayne the Detroit. I mean, dude, his videos got billion, I'm sorry, I should say multiple billion views. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's not something that's like one of those things that you dream of doing and you just hope, but then you wake up and you're doing it. But you're not just randomly doing it. You pave the way. So is there any...
Well, if you're at a sub shop, save your money and buy a camera. You probably already have one on your iPhone, but back then that's what I did. I think that's the easy. It's like you got to do it. You have to start doing it. Just shoot anything. And also, you're not gonna like this one because you never did it or still don't do it. But edit your shit, because it'll teach you everything you need to know. And like nowadays, right? Back then it was different, but I think nowadays there's nothing that will teach you more about who you are as a director than being in the edit. And
agreed.
You having to fix your own fucking mistakes and sitting there, you will not ever forget. You make one mistake, and when you have to sit in that edit for 4 hours and figure out how to fix it, you will not make that same mistake again. So I think for me that was like a huge thing to learn. But if you're a content creator, you have the camera, you're already making content. I think a lot of content creators, I don't know if it's like they're not focused, but I also think like I don't know, maybe this will be controversial, but I feel
we'll clean it up if it is. I mean, just like...
Yeah, the content community, a lot of these guys seem more interested in what they're doing than what they're shooting. They're more interested in showing them. Like I watch, there's so many content creators now where they have another content creator fucking shooting them creating content, and I'm like, I watch it and it's like kind of funny to me. I'm just like, what do you actually? How much time did you spend editing the video of yourself, and how much time did you spend editing the video that you were shooting, right?
Yeah, you're obviously taking some energy away from your creative space to concern yourself with me.
Right.
When really you should be concerning yourself with the project.
You know what my advice would be? This. If you're a content creator right now, you need to learn how to write. If you want to shoot big projects and you want to make money shooting big projects and you want to be on big commercial sets, you need to fucking learn how to write, because if you can't write it, you can't sell it. If you can't sell it, no one's going to buy it. And I think that was something that I did not know coming into this, and that was what Chandra really taught me how to do, was write treatments. And I think writing a treatment, you can be the shittiest director in the world. If you write a good treatment, you will get the job.
Sure.
So I think...
That's one of my beefs, by the way. That is one of my beefs. I was going to let that slide because I'm like, we've been talking for a while, but I'm like, hold up.
It's your beef.
This is mine.
It's your beef because you know it's fucking true.
It is. Well, hold on. It is true. But like what it leads to is this. I'm sorry, Troy. Sorry. But anybody can write treatments. My father can write. He wrote. I mean, his roommate at West Point wrote the president's scripts. So I mean, good literature. 5 pages in, can you deliver? You see, so I'm going to the other side. A
lot of times, no.
Exactly. I see a well-written treatment, or even helicopters or drones and this and that. No concept of time. Is this a 1 day or a 2 day? How are we going to achieve this? Or, you know what I mean? And so...
Well, that's the difference between great directors and
exactly
guys who never move out of a certain budget.
Exactly. So I would take heed in what you're saying, because I love what you're saying. I'm hearing treatment writing, having the creative idea, and then before that you said what? go shoot it. You have to go shoot. And I love that because you got to go do. Looking back at my beginnings, did I just get handed this? No, Tommy Labuda found me because I delivered him, a stranger at that time, 4 or 5 insane, rad, low-budget videos shot on film at 18 years old. And he was like, what?
Right.
You got to put it in. And so like that, I like what you're saying. I like the perspective of the writing. I do. I really do. Anyway,
you got signed off of what you did.
Yes.
But you got, once you were signed, it was your writing that got you your work.
Yes, sir.
So I think that's.
Yes, sir.
At the end of the day, there's nothing
Treatments
comes
and the ideas,
nothing comes before the writing.
And writing, you mean the idea?
Sure, but not just the idea. Okay. It's writing the idea.
Articulating.
Yeah.
Communicating. Now, okay.
Ideas.
Okay. I wasn't planning on talking about treatments. And this is awesome because honestly, if there's a person to talk it with, it's you. I have over 2,600 treatments that I have written on a file that's just loaded down.
I think you're the guy to talk about treatments.
Yeah, yes, I have written treatments, and the treatments have been long, and they've been technical, and they've been very.
Get Mike Monaco on here to talk about treatments too.
Okay. Why?
Because his perspective is fucking amazing.
I will. I would like to have him on here, so I'll note that. Troy.
Yeah. He'd be fucking great, man.
Yeah, it's just, I've been technical. I've been all the above. I've scrutinized, and then when I find myself, which is how I've made my career, is with the allegiance to the artists. And when I'm in the tour bus, in the studio, in their house or whatever, they go, I don't understand this shit.
But can't that lead to shitty work too?
What?
Somebody who gets jobs because of their allegiance to the artist?
Absolutely.
How many times now do you lose out to the guy that doesn't know what he's doing, but because he's been friends with the artist for however many years? And it's not a knock on those guys. It's a different way to the same. It's the same thing, but it's
yes, it is. You just opened up something that I mean, I'm like kind of like mic drop. I'm trying to think about it. Yes.
Can all lead to shitty work. Really.
Yes. Yes, but that just shows you how clouded the space is. And
it
that's
didn't
fine.
Used to be. That's a new thing.
You're preaching now.
I know.
Exactly.
I know you
because
know that.
Why? We delivered one product with a very distinct vision. And from that, if you can make your assets go widespread, go. But it was one vision based off of quality. Now, and I've said this before, we're basing things off of quantity. And if you're as talented as you and me are, and our crew, because we're only as good as our crew.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can deliver assets with quality. And that's what sets us apart. But that's also what is real. Because you can easily screw things up by just delivering shit. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And I see it all the time. Dude, that's the reason I started this podcast, to be very honest with you, was that very thing you just said. Yeah. Where I go from working constantly to now losing jobs to a content creator. It's fine. It's fine. But when you peel back the orange peel, the skin, a lot of it is budget related. And it's budget motivated.
Right, and I think that what's interesting is I don't know if budgets are necessarily less. They're just dispersed.
So
I think
to
that
socials, to blah. We need X. Hey, we can give you this budget if you can give us a BTS.
If they had a $500,000 spend for visuals in 2002, they had one single that year.
Absolutely.
The single lived for 48 weeks on radio.
Legs. That
was what you spent the money on. Now it's
a whole record, a whole album.
A record, an album. Not just that, but it's people release single So I think it's just money is just dispersed, and I think that I don't think it's a bad thing.
No,
it doesn't mean you can.
No.
theoretically, if you get all that work, you make the same amount of money.
We're here.
Like but,
we're here. All I'm trying to do is just expose what we are doing and let's talk about it, because I go through like, why didn't I get that job? I've done this. Well, hey, you know what? Take your own medicine. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you know, I've like really come to understand, like, I don't want every job. It's easy to compare and why did that person get this or not me? Like, I think I wrote a great treatment, but if they didn't like it, then they didn't see eye to eye with you. And if they don't see eye to eye with you in that process, then it's not worth the headache or the stress. And I say that from a point of, I'm financially able to say that. So I think that maybe if you're not in that position where you do have to take work, then you need to work with artists. You need to compromise, and you need to make money, and you need to find a way to become successful, because I don't think that you can get to the point of picking and choosing like, say, you and I can, until you've bled out. But
yes,
I think once you bled out and those wounds heal, you're able to then go ahead and start to pick and choose what you want to work on.
You notice the blind alleys.
Yeah,
you're going down. You go.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna pass on that one.
Yeah. Well, you've been shot before. You don't want to get
gone down. I've
you don't want to get shot there again. You're healed now. The wound is healed.
I'm good.
Yeah.
So that leads me to this. Obviously, I'm gonna be that confident with it. Feature films, scripts, TV, episodic, feature. That's gotta be in your future. I see it. I see it in every one of your dang jobs. I mean, I see just such a language of it that I'm proud to see it, but I also can't unrecognize where you're heading. Is that something where you're going? Is that?
Yeah, it's been challenging for me to make that jump. The number of guys that talk about, from music video. People just don't necessarily take music video directors seriously, and I definitely think that that's something that I'm trying to figure out how to navigate that space.
It's been the beginning of time. Paul Hunter, Joseph Kahn, all of Sam Bayer, who I mentioned at the very beginning of this.
Well, and a lot of those guys, unfortunately, a lot of those guys have made shitty movies. I know they're all your friends, but...
Touche?
Yeah.
I mean, Bulletproof Monk might have put him in jail, and Torque might have put Joseph in jail. But they... Okay, keep going. Keep going.
I don't want to get you in trouble.
Keep going.
I know you. But, so maybe that's part of the, there's deep roots there.
Sure.
I think that I'm just trying to figure out how to financially get to a point where maybe I can fund my own first film. It's tough. At some point I'm going to have to decide to either buy a house or make a fucking movie, but it's kind of like... is what it is. That's what I want to do with my life, and I guess if that time comes and I've got kids and wife or whatever.
Sure, don't lock you into too much. Yeah.
I mean, well, I got to buy the house then. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Like, I'm not.
You're ready, dude.
I'm not stupid. I'll figure out another way to do it. It's like I'm just like I know that it's inevitable that at some point I have to make life decisions over. Work decisions, because that's
help your work decisions,
right? And it's
all aid.
To me, like, nothing that I'm doing really matters if I don't, like, I could go win an Oscar and that still feels like it'd be less important to me than raising a kid that I'm proud of. I don't know. I think just
sure.
And you have kids.
I understand.
Like, it's like I'd love fucking Oscar. Don't get me wrong, but like it's like. It's just a shiny.
Sure, I'm very satisfied with.
Yeah. It's a shiny thing, and my dad said something to me after they got divorced, and I hadn't heard him cry ever in my life. I'd never, and he called me, and he was like, he kind of broke down, and he was very clear to me that if everything else failed in his life, he had me. And he was very proud of me and my sister and my brother. And I think that kind of changed my perspective a little bit on things. I think it just opened me up, and it made me realize what is it? It doesn't and I know we talked about, yes, it feels good and it's nice, but it doesn't.
There's levels to this shit.
It just doesn't. It doesn't like matter really.
No.
You know, I think that there are certain things that are more important to me than that, and I think those things feel good along the way. But you know, if I could get all the awards in the world, and what are you gonna put in my coffin with me? Absolutely. Like I leave. What am I leaving behind? What am I? Yeah. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
I can honestly tell you, in addition to that, I was striving, clawing, battling for number one. I wanted to be number one. I wanted the trophy.
For who?
I wanted the trophy.
Yeah.
But when I didn't get the trophy and life kept moving, I found myself growing and learning with a family. I've got the trophy. I got my kids. I got my life. I've got the trophy. The trophy I've been looking for. I just had the wrong perspective, and therefore, you know, a pastor told me this, which really, I got to say this because this is really important. I was going through a real bad problem during the pandemic, really bad. And my identity was gone. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't make a penny for 9 months, not a red cent. Moved houses, sold cars, kids in schools, everything under the sun. And I forgot what I was saying. Oh, and
pastor told you.
Yes, and I had to go to a pastor. I had to, and in between sermons, he met with me in the back. It was like full of like 10 people. It was a privilege to be able to do this, by the way. It was in between 15-minute sermon before he has to be out or whatever. And I told him a little of my story. I was broken. And I was telling him my story, and he goes, "Do you play baseball? Do you know much about baseball?" I go, I do. Because so many people, so many individuals and young, successful people in the arts, they play baseball and they're playing the life. They go from home plate to third, which is career. And they round to friends, second base. Obviously, first base is family. And you figured out around second base, you're going the wrong way and you are going to lose. So you best stop, slow down, and go back. I had to go back. I had to go back. And that growth of going back, I will say it proudly, has humbled so many of my friends that I've done that. I learned about myself. I humbled myself. Humbled myself with the ego. An ego I held tight to. That's all I had. Gone. Don't challenge me, no.
You just didn't, it wasn't all you had, though.
It wasn't all I had. So, I mean, you know, all that to be said, that I didn't mean to digress, you know. Are we going to see you, not in LA, right? You're going to write your script and get to Atlanta? Or what are we doing here? I mean, are you trying to go big time, or what do you know, you said self-fund. You know, and I know you will, by the way. I had Potsy, you know Potsy Pinceroli, the director of Old Henry? He was on a podcast, I think episode 2. Dude, the stories. And I see you in that light. I do. I really do. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Movies are where I want to go, you know, and I've got, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's hard to make the jump. You know, I've struggled with it for years now. Being like when I started, you know, after I had my first script, I was like 26 years old. Nobody takes a fucking 26-year-old with a script seriously. No, they just throw it away.
Now with a reel of also music performers, you had to strip that.
They don't give a fuck. So.
Yeah, they have a script with a kid with a red balloon going down a cobblestone street. You better show them an image of a red balloon down a cobblestone street.
Yeah.
If it's blue, you ain't getting the job.
Look, in all fairness, to people who, I wouldn't have made a good movie.
Sure.
I didn't have a good script. It was a piece of shit. And I was a piece of shit. Like, I wouldn't have made anything that was so. You know, it's a blessing, and I've actually really learned to embrace that too with this industry as a whole. Like, if I don't have something or something's not coming to me right now, it's because I'm not ready for it. Right?
Slow down.
Yeah, and I think that you know, I have a script right now. I have 2 scripts. I have one called Grip of War and one called Walk of Spring. Both are very good scripts. I guess I'm shameless just promoting myself now. But
please do.
Yeah,
Are they features based?
Features, yeah. Grip of War is based off of Cover Me Up, the music video.
Yeah.
I think the title kind of says it. Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, Grip of War. I've had good traction on that script. I've had a lot of people read it and people like it, but it's just not quite there. Mm-hmm. And then Walk of the Spring, I call it like the Titanic of World War II films, so it needs a lot of money. But it's like it's a blockbuster.
As it should.
Yeah,
bankroll anymore.
Yeah, it's a blockbuster. It's Walk of the Spring is the film I'd be most excited to make. I think there's nothing like it, and it's a love story that takes place in Warsaw during World War II, and it's two teenagers that.
Period.
Yeah, it's two teenagers, two Jewish teenagers falling in love in the Warsaw ghetto. Well, they're liquidating the ghetto at the same time, and one of the teenagers' fathers is the leader of the resistance, and they're kind of actively trying to scheme and fight against the Germans. And the other father, the girl's father, has a very he has a very different perspective on how he thinks they should make it through things, and that's by following directions and just staying under the radar and flying under the radar. But there's a lot of characters in it, and I think it's at the end of the day, the movie revolves around those two young characters. It's a very real, there's spectacle for sure, but at the end of the day, it's a love story, and it's sort of structured similar to Titanic, where it's, you open up and sure they're in a very dire, distressing situation, but the film really slowly reveals how fucked up things are. So that way you kind of fall in love with the way that the characters are in love with each other before you realize how fucked things are.
And did you write it?
I did write it, yeah.
How long have you been writing it? Off and on, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's, honestly though, with me for script writing, it's like, I get like, anyone in the music industry knows this, you get like a month off basically in December. So I wrote that Grip of War, I wrote in a month and a half, and then, constant iterations from there. But the script, month and a half. Walk of the Spring took me about 2 years to write.
Yeah, that's all right.
But when I say 2 years, I mean, like, I think I have every time I save it, I put a number next to it so I know what number I'm at. So I think I've saved that script like 145 or 146 times. So that
tells you something, folks.
Yeah.
Putting in work.
Yeah.
It's not perfect till it's perfect, right?
Yeah. But who knows? I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not really sold on myself as a writer. A script writer. I think creatively I'm good, but
you got the idea, you got the essence. Maybe you need to when it's time, when there's funding, put a little refresher on it.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to, I'm not married. I'm more than happy to pass those scripts off to a real screenwriter and let them fix them and then come back and,
So if there's any screenwriters out there, this is the one, guys. I promise you, all my folks, I'm telling you, this is it.
Spidey.
But dude, I honestly I was waiting for this episode, and I'm beyond stoked that you came in.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I really did have a wonderful time. There's things I didn't even know. Even like we've had what 6 or 7 of these damn things for 2 hours back in the day.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, dude.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Yeah.
I love you, dude.
Love you too, man. It was great.